so let's go to the beginning of Parshas Tzav, chapter 6, verse 2. So it says in verse 1, God spoke to Moshe saying, and then in chapter 6, verse 2, it says, Tzav es Aaron v'espanav lemor, command Aaron and his sons, saying, Zos Torah Ha'olah, this is the law of the Olah, Hi Ha'olah al Mokta, al Mizbeach Kol Laila. This is the law of the Olah. What's the Olah offering? Olah literally means elevation. It's offering, the ascent offering, because it's usually translated as a burnt offering, because it burned all night. And because the entire thing was burnt, you can burn it all night until the morning. And the fire of the altar should be a flame on it. Very powerful. I want to just say, I said, I promise you I'm going to look at the Rashi, but I also want to look at the Baal HaTurim with it, because the Baal HaTurim shares two very powerful statements. But first, let's look at the first comment of the Rashi. Tzav es Aaron, command Aaron. Ein tzav ela lashon zeruz. Command means zrizus. Do it quickly. Don't wait around to do the mitzvah. When the opportunity for the mitzvah comes, do it right away. Don't think we're going to have all the time in the world to do the mitzvah. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said, anything worth doing is worth doing right away. Anything worth doing is doing right away. Tzav, the commandment to do it, ain't tzav el lashon ziruz, miyad u'adoros, meaning that there's a commandment to do it now, and also for all future generations. But why do we say this specifically by the Olah offering, this commandment of Tzav, of do it quickly? Because what's the Olah offering? The Olah offering for the Kohanim, that's the only offering they didn't get to eat from. So, Bioter Tzarich HaKatuv, Amar Rabbi Shimon, Bioter Tzarich HaKatuv L'Zareis, B'makom Sheyesh Bo Chisaron Kis. That more careful to do this mitzvah at a time when there's money at stake, when people can lose money. They all of a sudden people come up with excuses or reasons to delay. No, says the Torah, Tzav Zrizus, rush to do the mitzvah. Rush to do the mitzvah when it is, especially when there's money at stake. The Baal HaTurim here has three comments, which I wanted to share with you. Three electric comments, which are just incredible. And if we can remember these three, and the message of the gratitude, and the story of Richard and Joyce, and the questions that were beautiful questions that were asked today, then it'll be such a special day. So what are the three comments of the Baal HaTurim? Number one, Tzav es Aaron, Maksiv le'elminei. What's written before command Aaron? Well, Ashma ba. The previous verse states that the Kohen shall bring the Korban Asham le'ashma ba. And then to incur guilt through it. And then right after that, it says Tzav es Aaron. Right afterwards, it says command Aaron. Meaning to say, Lamar she was reason b'torah mitzvos, sheshigos talmud olav v'zadon. When it comes to what the Baal HaTurim says, that basically the way to understand this is that when the Moshe was told to relay a message, the Torah usually uses the words say or speak. Here it says command, and this is the Moshe is being told, don't just tell them it, urge them to fulfill it, urge them, encourage them. And so this is next to Ashma ba, next to guilt, urge them, means to say that when it comes to studying Torah, and we'll see how Torah study is related to this, you have to urge them to do the mitzvos, push people to rush to Torah study to do the mitzvos. Because if you commit a sin by not, and the reason why you committed the sin was because you didn't study Torah, that's considered a willful sin. Meaning to say, if you commit to sin because you didn't know that this was prohibited, but why didn't you know it was prohibited? Because you didn't study Torah. That's not an unintentional sin. That's an intentional sin. How is this mitzvah about Torah study? Because the words, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Lemor, the Tzav S. So if you command et, if you take the words backwards, the last letter of the word spells Torah, Taf Vav Reshe. And so therefore the Baal HaTurim says, Sivau Tam She'asku b'Torah. Moshe, you see, the Baal HaTurim is making this message relevant to everybody. It's not just a commandment to bring the Ola offering, it's a commandment to study Torah. That's what the Baal HaTurim is saying, that we're commanded to rush, now especially, to study the Torah. And now he says, Zos Torah Sa'olah. This is the clincher. This is the law of the Ola offering. That's a sacrifice. How is this relevant to my life at all? We don't do animal sacrifices anymore. This is completely irrelevant. No, says the Baal HaTurim. Lomar, to tell us, Osek b'Torah's Ola, whoever engages in studying about the Ola, it's as though he brought the Ola offering. And the offerings are called an Ishay. The offerings are called a fire offering. And the Torah is called fire, Eish, as it says, Halocho dvari ka'esh. My word is like fire. Mimino Eish das lamo. And the letters of das lamo can be rearranged to spell Talmud, study. The offerings are called lechem, food, korbani lachmi, and the Torah is referred to as food. So, and he states here, Kishem she'ev shar la'olam below lechem, kach ev shar la'olam below Torah. Just as like it's an impossibility to have a world without food, to exist without food, so too it's an impossibility for the world to exist without Torah study. So right at the very beginning of this passage of the sacrifices, which we might think are about something completely unrelated to us, the Baal HaTurim tells us it's not just about the sacrifices. The sacrifices are a metaphor, a symbol for Torah study. And we have to delve deeply into the reading of each of these sacrifices to see what the message is of each of these sacrifices, how it relates to Torah study. But this portion is not just about sacrifices. They are about Torah study. Let me just stop and go over the schedule in case people came in late.